Hi, it's Hans at ahappierman.com. Today's topic is avoid everything that hurts you. Oh, this is this very critical skill to have to avoid the things that hurt you, because there's so much that by its very nature is trying to hurt you. Hurting men, hurting people. But, since this is for a happier man, I'll just focus on what hurts men and what to do instead. The first thing to do is what you eat. What hurts you are excessive amounts of soy products. There's just no evidence that a soy is good for you, and I know they can make it taste pretty good. In fact, I've had some soy stuff like in Chinese food, and it's really quite good. So I'm not saying it's not tasty. I'm not saying it can't be made to be enjoyable, but it will hurt you if you eat too much of it. So I just choose to, let's say, eat hardly any of it. If there's some soy in a product, and if I go to some kind of a get together and it's once a year, once every other year, I'm not going to get upset about it. But I'm not going to choose to eat it on a regular basis. The same goes for anything plant-based that claims to be protein. There's just what hurts you as a man is eating anything that isn't meat-based. You want to somehow get back to that. You want the meat and probably beef to comprise the bulk of your diet. If you want to be strong, if you want to keep your muscle, if you want to feel good most of the time, if you want to be healthy, that would be what you would mostly eat. So, not soy, beef. Not as much chicken, more beef. That's kind of what you need to be a masculine, healthy, vigorous man. So you would want to avoid all the foods that don't make you feel good like that. And this is hard, because you'll probably, up until now, you've probably been feeling pretty good, and then you'll go on a plant-based diet, and it won't hurt you that much, because it takes a while for the effects of things that are harmful to overcome the health you already have. But do your own research. You'll find that as a man you would want to focus on mostly beef in your diet. Mostly beef. So avoid everything else. What else should you avoid? Well, certainly you should avoid sugar. Sugar doesn't help you that much. Now, it is hard because all the tasty stuff has the sugar, the sweets, the desserts, the fun part of life has the sugar. So yeah, it's pretty hard. But if you wanted to have ultimate health, you'd avoid sugar. Maybe get to the point where you don't eat any. I'm not at that point yet. You can see I'm not that lean. I eat a lot of beef, a lot of meat, but it's very hard to get off that sugar totally. But if you wanted to lean down, you would not eat anything sugar or carb. You would have mostly beef. What else hurts you? I think what kind of hurts you is thinking you can get lean by exercising. That doesn't really work. You get lean from your diet, and the exercise certainly is good for you. But it's very different. You can't just exercise and weight train and cardio your way to a lean, ripped body. You've got to diet your way, and the weight training gives you the muscles, and the cardio gives you the wind to work out harder and do it longer, but it's the diet that gives you the leanness. The other thing you want to avoid is, even if you want to do all kinds of exercise, you want to avoid overtraining yourself so you lose all your energy and get hurt and overtrained and sick and run down and can't even do hardly anything anymore. You want to keep, you want plenty of energy to live your life, not just for the exercise part. Now, the exercise part is a nice adjunct. It adds to your life as long as you're not overdoing it and getting run down and sick and hurt. Another thing you want to avoid is exercising or weight training or doing whatever in a manner that you get hurt. It's very, very, very easy to hurt yourself by your overexuberance in the weight room, on the treadmill, as you're working out in other ways with sports. It's very, very easy. You can get hurt just like that with your own overexuberance. You think you can do more than you can. If you're in a sport, the coach is going to be kind of insisting that you throw it all out on the line, and yeah, you're going to get hurt. But I'm all about being a happier man, so I don't participate in any sports anymore. And of course, I'm older, right? So I'm past that sporting age. I have no desire to get involved in sports anymore. But let's say when I was a younger guy, yeah, you were expected to play hurt. You were expected to play through the pain, and you're expected, and that doesn't help you. That doesn't help you. Now it does seem like they're giving the athletes a little bit of a break. When I was younger, it wasn't really a break. You know, if you got hurt, you just played. So that's a good thing. To me, that's one of the good advances in the world. So what else should a guy avoid? You would want to avoid getting in debt, obviously. Very hard to get out of debt once you're in. You'll make progress on your debts, but then because you don't have any money, because you've been trying to pay down your debts, you still, the next thing that comes along, you're going to increase the debts again. So you want to avoid the debt. You want to avoid getting into a bad job or staying there. Now, sometimes it's hard to totally avoid getting into a bad job. You don't always know that you're in a bad job when you start it. But once you're in it and you figure out it's bad, well, that's when you need to make a move and get out of it, right? So you want to avoid spending the bulk of your working days doing something you don't want to do. I've been caught about 3 or 4 jobs where, yeah, I figured out it wasn't that good for me and I had to make a move. And thankfully, I've get self-aware enough to do that, and I've done that. So you want to make a living doing something you kind of like quite a bit, and it's easy for you. You can excel at it. You have the capacity for it. Sometimes you get into a job that you just don't have the capacity. You're not cut out for it. You're not good enough for it, or they demand too much out of you. And then, in those cases, it might be better to take less money and do something a little bit more to your capacity. You want to avoid listening and absorbing information contrary to how your life would like to be. You'd like your life to do this, but you spend a lot of time listening to this that's kind of totally opposite of how you'd like to be. So pick and choose. You curate. You ever hear the word curate? That means like the curator of a museum is the person who takes all the stuff to bring it together to a museum to make the whole. You want to kind of curate your life. What do you listen to? What do you watch? Who do you talk to? What kind of thoughts do you have to make your life how you want it to be? In my case, I want to live a happier man life, so I've stripped away all the things that don't contribute to that happier man life. Like, for example, I left my wife. She wasn't making me happy, and I wrote about the things that led up to my leaving, and how I got to the point to get the courage to leave, and why I did everything I did, and some of the aftermath and the good things that have happened. And if you have a bad marriage, you might want to check out that book, Leave Your Wife and Become a Happier Man with the 3-Step System, available on the ahappierman.com website. It would save your life if you're in a bad marriage. But like I said, she wasn't adding to my life. She was just subtracting it. In some ways, I feel like my life has been tremendously shortened by staying with her so long. But I can't do anything about the past other than help you now try to get out of a bad marriage as soon as you recognize you're in one. And a lot of men are in a bad marriage, and their life could be so much better if you were out of that. I'm sorry, ladies. Some ladies have just ruined men's lives, and it goes the opposite. Some men have ruined women's lives, no doubt about it. The both of you should think about ending it. So, and then all the people in it. Now, with a wife, she's there all the time, so that's going to be like the main driving factor that'll drive your life down into the toilet if you have a bad wife. If you have a bad job situation while you have a bad wife, well, at least at the end of the day, you leave the job, right? On the weekends, you're not at the job, but on the weekends, you're with her. In the evenings, you're with her. At night, you're with her. In the morning, you're with her, right? She's going to be like his driving force. So, again, leave your wife and become a happier man with the 3-step system. Friends, family, yeah, there's a certain amount of dragging down you get from all kinds of people, even your closest people. They might have different viewpoints from you, and you let that kind of burrow into your mind, and you start thinking you're wrong, even though deep in your heart you know what you need to do to live a good life. So keep yourself going, focus on your life, and you just kind of, when people and love, your family, your friends, they start talking about things that don't make sense to you, well, just tune them out, change the subject, move on to the next thing, take the absurd side of things. You're not going to agree with everybody. Not everybody is going to be on this same path. Not everybody thinks that men should be happy. I've noticed that for years now, that it seems like there's this concerted effort to make men as unhappy and unsatisfied and miserable as possible. Well, I'm taking the opposite track. I'm going the exact opposite way. My goal is to make men as happy as possible. I do whatever I can to make my life better. I'm sharing the things that I'm learning. I talk about it with my son extensively. I help my daughter too, to help her have a good life. When I'm with my friends, I'm joking around. I'm kind of keeping it light. We're making it good. They know if they have a big problem, they can come to me, right? And you can. Leave a comment if this makes any sense to you. But yeah, I feel for the men nowadays, just like I felt for myself when I was in the worst misery of a bad marriage. And if you're in the worst misery of the marriage, get the book. It'll help you. So anyway, just start avoiding like heck all the stuff that's not good for you. Don't think about it. Ignore it. Evade it. Move away from it. Change your mind from it. It's not helping you. It's not helping you to think about things that aren't good for you. It's not helping you to get involved and to eat what they say to eat when you know it isn't good for you. When you know what's good for you, you've determined it with your own experimentation, with your own research. Do that. Avoid and ignore everything else. All for now.